this is Solar Cross once again, and this is just a little follow-up video to explain the rules of a hobby streak, because in my long rambling video introducing my weekly hobby streak, or my hobby week streak, my streakly weekly hot streak, no, my hobby streak week. Hobby week streak. Yes, it's a hobby week streak. Hobby streak by the week. Let's do that. So I didn't really mention what the rules were going to be exactly, which is something you want to do really. If you're going to do a hobby streak, you kind of need to be, you've got to have a contract that you've got to stick to, haven't you? So what, for example, first thing to be clear about is what activities actually count towards your streak. For bringing your models to completion. It has to be something that brings a model closer to completion. So for things that would count, activities that would count, we're going to have snipping from sprues. Snipping anything from a sprue counts. Gap filling counts. Magnetizing counts. Filing off mold lines. Sculpting, assembling, basing, all that sort of thing, that counts. And anything which put in paint on, that counts as well. So priming, painting, sealing with like varnish or whatever, all that counts towards the streak. Any activity, any time spent doing those things counts towards the streak. And things that don't count, obviously, is going to be anything which does not directly bring a model closer to completion. And that would be completely legitimate hobby activities like buying models, list crafting, reading rule books, consuming lore to do with the game system, learning from tutorials, and actually playing the games. And all those activities are completely legitimate hobby activities. I'm not knocking them in any way, but they don't count towards this. They won't count towards the hobby streak, because the purpose of a hobby streak is to get unpainted models painted. At the end of the day, that's what it's for. So, I mean, if we spent all our time just reading fucking, I don't know, Black Library books, we're never going to get a model done, right? So all those activities, they're fine, but they don't count towards the hobby streak, because it's got to be things which actually get, you know, models closer to completion. So these are the models I've done for the last week of the streak. I'm not saying this is done yet, because I primed them and I put a Zenithal highlight over it, but I've still got another hour I need to spend this week doing stuff. So the next thing you need to be clear on if you're doing a hobby streak is what is the minimum amount of time spent per unit of streak, unit of your streak. So a daily streak, the standard hobby streak is a daily streak, and that would typically be half an hour per day. I mean, you're obviously free to do something else, but I think half an hour is a good unit, because it takes quarter of an hour to settle into anything you do. So anything less than 30 minutes is probably not going to actually help you very much. And anything longer is a bit too much of a commitment. And half an hour is just fine, because I mean, generally once you it doesn't sound too intimidating. If you say to yourself, "Oh, I'll go and spend half an hour doing painting or whatever," well, you don't feel like that's going to stop you. Like that's too much of a chore. But once you start, you'll probably do more. So that's fine. So it's not like that's too little. It is too little, perhaps, but it's just to get you to start. And once you start, you'll probably do more than half an hour anyway. So that's a daily streak. And of course, as I say, I'm doing a week streak just for various reasons I mentioned in the previous video. So I won't reiterate why I'm doing a week streak, but the unit of my streak is going to be a week, and it's going to be, so to be sort of proportionate to or equivalent to a daily streak, I can't just say half an hour per week, because that's too small. I'm going to say I'm going to do at least 4 hours per week for my hobby streak. And so that's what I'm doing. So those are the rules. What else? Okay, the other thing to do is to define the boundaries of your streak unit. So if you're doing a daily streak, the boundaries would be midnight to midnight, for example. Typically, that's what you do. Now, for a weekly streak, as I am doing, we're going to probably have to do something different. And it's a bit arbitrary. You can pick what you like. It could be Monday to Sunday, or Wednesday to Tuesday, whatever works for you, really. Because in the first week of my weekly streak, I finished the last job of the hobby streak on a Saturday, and I published the video on the Sunday. So well, I think I'm just going to say my hobby period, my streak period, is going to be which is going to be Monday to Sunday, let's say. So I have to finish my hobby work to retain the streak, to build on the streak. I have to finish my 4 hours by Sunday. Could be Sunday midnight, for example. That doesn't include publishing the video, where I document what I've done. I will try to get that out as soon as possible, and often that will be the Sunday rather than the Saturday or the Monday, but I don't know yet, because obviously videos need to be edited and everything, so it's all a bit more complicated doing it that way. Finally, I think I'll have a few words about documenting your progress. Now, typically in a hobby streak, whether you do it daily or weekly, that is part of the package. You don't just do some work for your hobby. You also document and publish to the world on your social medias what you've done, just to bring a bit of social pressure into the motivational mix. Now, if you're not big on social media, I would consider that to be an optional thing. You don't have to do it. As long as you're making progress and you're fine with keeping, keeping honest to yourself without necessarily involving social proof, then you don't have to do that. That's an optional thing. Of course, I will be doing that because I'm a YouTuber and I am publishing my documentation to YouTube. But however you do it, it could be pictures on Instagram, pictures on Twitter, or your personal blog, or whatever it is. It is a little bit extra work, and it doesn't count towards your streak either, the documentation. But it can help you to motivate. It's a bit of extra motivation because you don't want to. It's one thing to let yourself down if you fail a streak and you have to go back to zero. It's another thing to fail in front of other people, isn't it? So that's kind of why the documenting is useful, but I wouldn't say essential. So I mean, if you're doing a hobby streak, you're inspired to do it, to go and do your own hobby streak, don't feel like you have to document it. If you're not active on social media and it's not a big deal for you, any of that stuff, you don't have to do that. The main thing is just having the rules, your main rules, what counts, be clear what counts towards your hobby streak, and what the sort of parameters, the boundaries of what time you have to spend on it to qualify for a day or a unit or a week, whatever it is, to qualify. So that's all I want to say in this video. So bye for now.